Now this is, like I said, one of those things where it just frustrates me because I thought I had the record button going, but it didn't. So this is cycle one. And first thing I did was I went and I searched. Our colony ship drops out on the very edge of known Imperium space and is left to fend for itself. And we were in an uncharted sector and the center of this particular quadrant. And so what I did is I did an exploration roll and I discovered that there is a class G43 sun, and it has a grassland orbiting that planet. And this allowed my little fleet to be deployed. So my colony ship is now in orbit around this grassland of a planet. And I went and I explored 40% of the planet in addition to finding out what the mineral resources were for the planet. And so I know that the planet is grassland, it's breathable, it has a 1.5 build modifier. I know what its population growth modifier is. It also has a single moon that is a frozen rock. It's non-breathable. It has a 7.5 breathable build modifier. I know that the planet has oxygen, water, and 5 mineral resources in large enough quantities to be considered a mega find. Pretty much every planet has trace elements of most mineral resources, but those are much harder to exploit. So I have used up a fuel point and a supply point for all of my ships. Now my colony ship came in. Generally speaking, it has 6 cycles worth of movement available to it. 6 cycles of movement and supplies. After cycle 6, beginning at cycle 7, my colonists begin to suffer. They start to die, and I lose a percentage each round or each cycle after that, and it increases to the point where it will completely dissolve. The whole colonial effort can fail. And so we had a luxury here because we were able to find a planet right off the bat, and we know that's a breathable planet with a very decent build modifier. You don't get much better than 1.5. The best would have been a standard or an Earth type, a Terra type planet, but they're rare. So I choose to do 4 exploration rolls in cycle 1, and on my first roll I had a wildlife encounter. On my second roll, a gargantuan fauna encounter. On the third roll, I found an abandoned mining facility that's 83% damaged. And on the fourth roll, I found an exotic location that could be exploited as a tourist trap. So this means I already know 40% of my planet, what the planet has. So I would say the planet is 40% explored, and it is now, current cycle is now cycle 2. And so I could choose now to explore more of the solar system because I only know 10% of the solar system. So there's 90% more of the system. There could be more planets, more moons, and asteroid fields. What I do know for sure, there's no interstellar hazards, no stellar hazards, no black holes, no you know nebula, nothing like this that's going to cause a problem. And we found that by finding, when we located, that this particular system has a breathable planet in it. So we know it's good. And that means I could just choose on cycle 1 to have immediately colonized the planet, and I chose not to do that. And so in order to, because I now have 5 more cycles worth of options available for exploration and development of this particular system and the planet, I felt that perhaps this is what I want to do, because there's always the possibility of getting a negative roll that can be detrimental. You can get to the 10th, the 100th percent of the exploration phase and discover there's something horrific on the planet that's going to cause a problem, and you might be forced to relocate at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and take a gamble, and I'm going to take my drop shuttle, and I'm going to use another point of food, another point of fuel, and make an exploration roll. And once again, like I said, this would be 50% of the grassland, which I have yet to name. And I'm going to see which chart I have 3 exploration charts for planets. So I'm going to see which one I'm going to roll. And it's 89, which would be chart 3, which is what I've got open at the moment. And then we'll see, we are rolled a 3. So 3 unmarked ComSat orbits the planet. So we know at some point somebody else has been here, because there's a mining facility that was constructed then abandoned. And now we know that there is an unmarked ComSat in orbit. But we don't know anything else. All right. So then I'm going to go and I'm going to opt to use my mining ship to do another search of the planet, which uses up another point of food. When we test food, oxygen, and water, they use another ton. And then because it's a Tech 1 ship, it uses 3 Tech 1 engines, which means it uses 3 tons of fuel each cycle, each time it uses them. So I'm going to use another 3, which then brings us down a little bit more and allows us to roll 60% of the planetary surface. 58, and that would be chart 2, I believe. And chart 2, we're going to roll again for an 89 on chart 2. Roll on one of the other exploring planet charts. All right, so it'll be chart 1, even it'll be chart 3. So odd, or even is chart 3. So 90. What is it? 96. 96. Flora discovered. Yeah, it's a grassland planet. Expects to be a lot of stuff. Flora discovered. It says if research one of the following needs. If research roll one of the following. So if I research it, chart 3, number 96. Basically what that says is that it could be flame resistant, it can be energy resistant, it could have see-through properties, organic replacement for steel that can be harvested or grown, it could be used to make luxury grade beverages, or has natural camouflage properties. So there's a bunch of options here that potentially, so when I get to the point where I'm able to do research, and that would be yet another video if we go there, and I can choose to do the research on it and to discover exactly what is interesting about this particular flora, and to find a ways to exploit it. So this brings us to our 2 scout ships, and I'm going to go ahead and use them to explore the planet 2 more times, bringing it up to 80%. 80% explored. And so chart number 3, that's a 90, and 11 on chart 3. Exotic flora discovered. Well, it is a grassland, so there is a lot of flora to possibilities, right? Once again, basically the same C. So C developing worlds, designing flora and fauna chapter. So when we get the wildlife, things like this, there's a whole other set of chapters for us to explore these and to get more details on them to find out if they're a problem or not. Because in reality, this wildlife could be a massive man-eating tiger thing, or this exotic flora down here could be a massive man-eating flora thing. So I mean, there's still possibilities of there being problems down the road, even after we colonize the planet. Such is the dangers of colonization. So we're going to roll 51, bring us to 80% of the planet's surface being explored. 51, and that would be chart 2. So we will roll again to see what's on the chart. 44. And yet flora discovered. More plants. And this one specifically says it's dangerous. Dangerous. So when we get to that point, when we actually go to explore and determine exactly what sort of wildlife and plants we have, this particular one will include the caveat that it is dangerous. So that brings us to the end of cycle number 2, and we are now at 80% of the planet's surface being explored. And that'll work until next time. I actually got it videotaped. Hope you guys tune in and see what happens to the next one. Until next time, you guys have a great weekend.